Meet the Team live streams. Today we are here with our head of sales, Tomas Gineitis. Tomas, thank you so much for being here with us. He's the driving force behind HeavyFinance sales. And when we're talking about sales, we're talking about selling loans to agriculturists. So first things first, Tomas, what is your background? How did you arrive here?
Okay, so hello everyone. At first I would like to say that I'm not so good speaker than my previous colleagues did, so they did amazing job and probably they told almost everything. I hope I will able to tell something more interesting for you also. So regarding my background, actually according to my university degree, which I gained in Vilnius University, I'm an economist. But I always wanted to try myself in sales. And as an economist, I wanted to be as close as I can near the money, So I found
That's a good principle.
Yeah, so I found out that a lot of money there are in the bank, So I've started in 2006 in the banking sector, and I spent there, I don't know, more than 10 years. So most of the time I was working with the agri-machinery sellers, dealers, and manufacturers. So yeah, it was interesting journey for me, but then actually I got bored a bit because, like in the banking system there is also a lot of rules, and you have this like narrow funnel you can go, and that's it. So I get bored a bit. So for the last 2 years before HeavyFinance, I jumped into the other giant company, also Gineitis Logistic, which is I think one of the biggest logistic company in Europe, and I was responsible there for financing solutions for our customers who is buying used trucks from Gineitis. So I was responsible for these financing solutions not only in Lithuania, but also in Netherlands, Poland, Germany, Spain, and probably I would be going also to the Scandinavian countries, but HeavyFinance happened. So basically, this is my background.
So first, look, your English is perfect. Don't worry about that. You've been practicing a lot lately with all the internationalization of HeavyFinance, of course, and that's very interesting. So, how many years were you in the banking sector?
Actually, it was more than 10.
More than 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
And usually working close to agriculture is heavy machinery, right?
The last 6 years I've spent working with the agri dealers actually and manufacturers also. Yeah, but I was like responsible for sales, but not speaking directly with the farmers. I was responsible that these vendors who meet farmers would send all deals to us. So this is what.
Not very different of what you're doing now in HeavyFinance. But I'm very curious. So you really like heavy machinery because, as I understand, first tractors, then trucks, and now back to tractors.
Actually, I like more. Maybe I'm not a perfect example of a salesman or sales guy, because I don't like to speak very much. I prefer listening, and you would say that for a sales guy it's like a critical issue, But in agribusiness, it's actually helping me to sell a lot, because I'm not offering something. I'm listening what customer demanding from us, So it's actually I'm trying to not to sell him some money, but to offer him an opportunity to grow. And in the banking sector when I was working, so it's usually like that first of all we were asking for some financial documents, and then depends of this customer equity ratio, turnover, net income, So if it's too low, we never talk to these customers at all. So in this case, I would say in HeavyFinance, all farmers matters, So.
So that's a good point. Let's go back a little bit. How did it happen? You told me that you would be, going into Scandinavia if you would have stayed in Gineitis. How did it happen that you ended up in heavy finance?
Yeah, so
How did you do that leap?
actually in Lithuania we have very conservative banks, especially for in transportation sector. So we had a lot of customers who wanted to buy some used trucks, but our banks didn't provide any financing for them because they're, I don't know, too small to something. So I saw Rytis Darginavičius message in LinkedIn, who I knew him before when he worked in Dojus Agro. So that they are starting heavy finance, and I was thinking that's interesting because trucks are it's also heavy machinery. So I called him and we agreed to meet to discuss about maybe some kind of cooperation opportunities. Yeah, in this meeting I also met Laimonas. We just expressed our knowledge in agribusiness, and I didn't understand how, but I just started to work here. So Laimonas is very convincing person. Yeah, he just told me, "Hey, we have a good product, but we don't know how to sell it. Can you try?" Well, I did, and it seems that we are really have a good product.
That's very good. And actually, all the stories that I hear is that Tomas joining Heavy Finance was the turning point for sales, right? Before that, we actually didn't have a proper salesperson, so you were the first one. And in that moment, things really started to take off. So how did you feel the first time that you arrived in Heavy Finance and all of a sudden you have to sell financing to farmers and back
not sell, offering opportunities.
Offering an opportunity, that's very good. Offering an opportunity, because actually that's what you're doing. Offering an opportunity to farmers. How did you feel the first time you go to work and you said, okay, so now I'm back into helping farmers?
As I worked a lot with these farmers, so my belief was that it's not possible to reach these guys through internet. I thought, okay, I have a good relationship with almost all vendors, so it will be easy for me. I just call them and ask to send leads. That's it, So, and the first day I started, our Darius just gave me a lot of leads from Facebook, actually. So I was surprised.
Farmers don't go to Facebook. That's what you thought, right?
I didn't believe that. So, and he gave me a lots of leads. So I didn't even have time to call to vendors, actually. So yeah, farmers are really smart guys now. They use everything modern now. So yeah,
it makes sense. I was going to ask you that. So you sit down and you're thinking that your job is going to be like contacting vendors, as you were saying, right? And then all of a sudden you get all these leads and you start calling them. Yeah. So what kind of feedback did you start getting from these leads?
Actually, at first, it was challenging for me because banks sell money and cheap one, but they do not accept any risk. If you're too small, that's it. You are not getting anything, even if your financials are really decent. Yeah. So, and now I've started to sell something 4 times more expensive. So it was a bit challenging for me, but after 1 week, then I realized what solutions are we offering to our customers. I was confident to do that. Yeah, it's actually not too much expensive. It's expensive, but not too much. So yeah, and customers really need help because imagine if you want to increase your turnover, either you have to save for 3 years, either you can borrow a bit more expensive money than in the bank, but do it today and reach this level not after 3 or 5 years, but after one and a half. So
again, don't forget that we are going through also an AMA session. So this is an Ask Me Anything. So if you get any questions at all, please feel free to post it here on YouTube, and Thomas will answer them gently.
I will try.
I also wanted to ask you something. So all this process, how it has been in Heavy Finance. you started to do some calls and you wanted to contact vendors, and you're telling me you didn't have the time to contact vendors. So how
Yes.
was this time management and this afflux, this flux of leads going on for you?
Yeah, actually, it was a bit hard because Darius was sending a lot of traffic because a lot of people, a lot of people need financing actually to increase their businesses, and so I realized that I'm already taking 8, 9, 10 hours of work, even more. So we decided that if we want to grow more, we need some people to hire. So we took actually two of my already one of my colleague from my previous job, and other guy who I already knew from the banking system. So they are very professional. I didn't need to spend much time on training them. So actually everything went smoothly, and we're still uh, thinking that we can achieve more. That's why probably we will need more resources actually. So yeah,
That's
so
very
we are,
good to hear. So how it happens now? You get the leads, and they are still calling this guys, this potential customers.
who?
You, when you get the leads, are you still calling them?
No, now I'm more motivated to be this head of sales, So yeah, so I would like to lead a team. So usually I'm dividing these leads for our sales guy, for our sales team, and I am trying to if possible to help them to achieve good results actually. So I don't know.
But as I understand, you're still doing a lot of sales. You're still leading the sales revenue, the sales efforts.
Yeah, it's because when customer I still do a lot of new loans, but it's because these customers, which I talked 3, 4, 5 months ago, they are coming back. So now I do not need to do anything. They just finding me actually. So I taking the second or the third loan. It's easy. It's good cooperation for both sides. So they don't need to look anymore anywhere. They save time.
They
I
run the
save time
process.
not explaining the same process again. Yeah.
Trivia question: what is the farmer that has more loans already in Heavy Finance? How many loans does he have?
I think 7.
7 loans
7. Yeah.
in a span of 1 year and a few months. This is how long we are alive.
It's the portfolio, I think, around 300K already. So our investor community already borrowed him 300K. So imagine what he can do now with this kind of money. Because instead of that, he maybe will saving his money for 5 more years, to buy all the equipment he needed.
Let me go through something with you. So how is your process of sales, our process of sales? Is it fast? Is it slow? What I mean is you have a farmer that calls you and says, I want to buy a tractor, right? So what happens next?
So actually, we just, should I say it from my perspective?
From your perspective,
Okay,
from your perspective.
So at first I listen. I listen and I hear his needs. Then we discuss a bit how is he, from his point of view, what's the payment schedule he would need, and etc. I'm preparing him some kind of payment schedule, preliminary payment schedule. I'm sending him by email. Then I'm receiving some documents from him, which I need to evaluate it. Actually, and everything. And from first conversation to the already listing a loan in the platform, it might be at the same day actually. So our slogan is like to work fast, So because farming is a cash intensive business, and sometimes if something breaks, they need money. Like yeah. So they don't have time to wait 2 weeks to enter the bank, then 2 more weeks to wait a decision, and etc. So
what would you say is the average time in a normal process, so if nothing goes wrong, right? What is the average time from the moment that somebody calls you and says, look, I need to buy, imagine, a tractor combo, until he actually gets the money in his account, or he gets the money on the vendor's account?
What's the average or what's the fastest?
No, the average, the average. At this time, without counting, sometimes things can go wrong, and you can have to wait a little bit
Should you
longer.
count in all these assets evaluation?
If you have to do them, yeah.
Yeah, so in average it should be around 1 week, I think. Yeah.
1 week, and that's with asset evaluation, right?
Yes, yes.
And if there is no necessity for asset evaluation,
so it depends. This time then depends only from our investor community how fast they can raise this money which customer needs. Yeah, so.
And usually, in your experience, this takes like 1-2 days from raising from our investor community. More, 3 days. I know that it depends on the amount, right? But imagine that a loan for 50K, what would be the expectable time?
Actually, it's also depending from the customer, from the risk they are taking by borrowing some money for this particular customer, because it can be A, B or C rating. So for it might be, I don't know, 2 days, it might be during 1 day, it might be 2 weeks. So it's we are offering to our investor community as many leads, as many loans as we can get after we are evaluating them, of course, and then it depends not from us already. So we encourage all our investors to help these farmers to become great, actually, because they can.
And my question, yeah, that is very important. So we are helping these farmers, and our investors, every time that they invest in HeavyFinance, they are actually investing in this farmer specifically. But my question was going towards one specific point, that is, how do we compare our timings and our convenience to traditional banking? If I would go through the same process in traditional banking, would you say that it would be a lot faster, it would be slower, it would be similar?
Yes, so banks always wants to meet first, so physically. According to this COVID situation in Lithuania, for example, you have to agree a meeting at first. So it might happen after 1 or 2 weeks.
So we're already winning.
Yeah, so during this time, we already can pay out the money, actually. So I think we are faster because we don't ask from these customers to present, I don't know, 5 years plans in the future, because it's actually too small farm that he would plan everything in 5 years.
Very
it's
good.
Family business, actually.
So we actually already have some questions. First question from Gabriele. Thank you for your question, Gabriele. In your opinion, what's the main reason farmers come back to borrow one more time? So we're talking about this farmer, for instance, has 7 loans with us, and others that come for the second or third time. Why do they come back? Why do you think so?
Yeah, so I think because we are saving time for them, So he already knows what's our possibilities, what possibilities does he have with us. We don't need to explain him more. He likes us, and also I had this story with one actually huge farmer who controls, I think, around 700 hectares, and I'm always honest with my customers. I'm always honest, and I'm saying just, hey, why are you choosing us? Because banks can offer you. I see the financials, and I worked in the bank. I know that she could easily get money in the bank for 3 times cheaper money, So, but she said to me that actually she evaluates the humanity. So that's because I listen to her. I try to understand and try to offer something which would be convenience to her, not just like like in banks, take this amount or we can't help you at all. So humanity, speed, and maybe other issues like, I don't know, we can accept financing for 100% of the asset. We are not. Because in the bank, you can buy a tractor if it's not older than 10 years. So we are not. We are allowing customers to choose whatever tractor does he need, because he knows the best, not us. So yeah. So I don't know.
We're not putting any rules in their business. They're running their business the way it is. Yeah. that it should be intended. It should be the way that it should be, right? A farmer makes his own decisions. Now we have another question from 4FFMR. Current delay in payment of interest is 8.6% of total loans, 246. How you manage such late loans? What is the average time of recover? Would be cool to have deeper statistics or more data. Actually, here I'm going to help you a little bit with this one because this is regarding late loans. As you were saying, we have this like human, more empathic approach. So we try everything to give our customers the opportunity to repay the loans, right? So this is very important for us, even specifically because we are talking about farmers that most of them they have when they pledge the assets, and of course the assets are there for in case they go into default. But these assets most of the times they run in a family, right? So they go from ancestor to ancestor until they reach them, and they're valued as so, right? So if they lose it, that's it, it's over. There is no means to keep paying and to keep working. So for us, the important thing is that the loans are paid, and if they are late, there are interest for late loans, right? So our investors, they will not be losing. And so far, we are now in the verge of having the first situation where actually we are sending a loan to recover, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong. Do you have something to add on that? Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to understand that the farming business, like it has some seasonalities, you know. So if you have to pay, so that's why we are offering for customers the seasonal payment schedules. But interest part, they have to pay monthly.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine if something breaks in his tractor and he has to go to the field to take or broke the combine, you know. So and he have to go to the fields to take his crops. So he has to choose either he needs to pay to the bank or to fix the combine and take all the crops. So he will definitely choose to fix the combine and go get his like crops, because otherwise he will not have anything what to pay at the end of the year. So this is you have to understand that in farming it's a bit seasonality. So you have to be patient and they usually pays it back. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so that's the most important part. In the end, that everybody wins, right? And we are not in the business of repossessing land. We are in the business of giving loans.
Yes,
so
exactly.
This is the most important part for us, is that we give the opportunity for them to pay. So that was a very good question. So a little bit more. What do you see your role now? So you told me now you're incorporating this new role as head of sales, a proper head of sales, right? So you have a team behind you. I know that you have 2 people in Lithuania. Tell me a little bit more about your team and about this process of teaching them, coaching them.
Yeah, so as I told you that these 2 sales guys we have, they are professionals already. They work a lot of in the banking sector as well as me. I just was the first who believed or who was invited to join HeavyFinance. Yeah, but also I am trying to participate in other countries to train or to give my knowledge, what I know about farming, to other peoples in other countries where I operate. So in Portugal, Bulgaria, Latvia. So yeah, it's actually interesting to face these different cultures and to share my opinion, and maybe they will apply for in their own countries actually, and hopefully they will get success as I did. So.
And I believe that this will just become more intensive, that you will have to teach more than actually teach and supervise and tutor more than doing calls and getting some new farmers in. Does that scare you or that motivates you? How do you feel about that?
I think it motivates me, yeah.
That's good. That's good to know. We have another question from Marcus. When you talk about farmers, they talk a lot about giving loans back earlier. September when they get money from government, or December to pay profit taxes. This is a question. When you talk about farmers, do they talk a lot about giving loans back earlier, repaying earlier?
Actually, all farmers, they hate to be in debt. Mm-hmm. So they have this feeling that they need to own the machine, own everything. So before he signing a contract, he always saying that, hey, I need 3 years period just to be sure that I will be able to pay if something happens. But they all like promising to give it back early. So we will see.
If that happens, then it's a good
yes,
business, yeah?
we will see this year because we just operating for 1 year. So let's see how farmers will pay during this period in the fourth quarter actually. So
Talking about that, that's also a question that I would like to ask you. Last year, we saw that there was some seasonality, for instance, in the end of the summer or in the summer, August, September, August mostly was a kind of a slow month, but this year was not like this, right? So this year was actually August was a decent month. Um, do you feel that we are still learning with the seasonalities and there is still much there that we need to go through in order to be able to provide a better service to our customers?
yeah, so in agribusiness, it's always about seasonality. So December, April, and I think July is the most intensive periods then customers buying something. If we talk about the machines, for working capital, they feel deficit all the time actually. If someone breaks and they need to spend, I don't know, 10,000 euros to fix it, he needs the money. If he is growing crops, it means that he will get this money only in autumn. So he has to borrow. And if no one believes in this customer, so what other options does he have? So yeah.
So despite seasonality, there is business all year long, and there's always the need for cash.
I think because as we already agreed, and Andrew said, and Darius and everyone, that farming is a cash intensive business. Yeah. So all the time they have this need to have their working capital in time then they need it. So I don't know if I answered the question.
And you did. And how do you see now the next, at least foreseeable future for HeavyFinance and for you, in terms of growth and in terms of personal expectation?
Actually, I would like to, well, according to our plan, we will probably double our sales for the next year. So we have this plan. Of course, we will try to expand into other countries. And these countries, what we are looking at, it's should be with a similar situation than in Lithuania, or Portugal, or Bulgaria, or Latvia, where like small and medium farmers faces these problems with the banks. So this is the main countries we are looking at. Yeah, and I promise that I will teach every sales guy who will join our organization to achieve the same results everywhere. So yeah.
I wish we had a team of Tomas Gineitis. You need to start growing yourself.
Everyone
Yes,
has selling strategy.
Of course.
I'm more listener than talker, some maybe other guys just doing something else, but still, while it works, we are good to go.
And talking about being more listener than talker, how did you feel in this interview that you're actually talking more than listening? Was that something new for you?
Yes.
That's good to hear. Thomas, it was really, really a pleasure to have you here with us today. Thomas is my colleague and my good friend also, so it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And don't forget, tomorrow we have with us Laimonas Noreika. He's the CEO of the company, and tomorrow is going to be the last Meet the Team live show series, at least for the foreseeable future, for the next month or so. And then we will have someone here, a new team member, also hired to be on a C-level position on the core team. But that's still for the future. For now, let's see each other tomorrow with Laimonas Noreika. And once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.